All right. Hello, 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 everybody. Looks like we are live and up and running. So I want to welcome you guys once again to our first Friday of the month live stream here on the Aputure Facebook page. It's really awesome that Aputure allows me to come in here and hang out with you guys and chat and talk about some stuff. So in case you guys don't know who I am, let me inform you. I am Bart Johnson. I am a cinematographer and YouTuber based in the Washington, D.C. area. And so maybe some of you guys know me from YouTube. If you don't, make sure to go over to Bart Johnson Productions on YouTube and find me. And then you can hang out with me more than just once a month. We got a lot going on over there. But like I said, this is our monthly show here on the Aputure Facebook page, first Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So I'm going to be here talking with you guys about a subject today and basically just hanging out and chatting. So if you guys are joining us live, please feel free to leave comments. I do have them pulled up here on the screen, so I will be able to chat real time with you guys. So let me get everything all situated and we'll get off and running. I see we've got a few people coming in already. Naris from Aputure, good to see you, buddy. We've got my buddies from the Forge Studios. Moses Wilson, thank you for being in here. Asking, are there more figures now? Yeah, as you can see, I've got a pop figure problem, but that's a whole different thing. Today we're going to be talking about a whole different other kind of getting too much stuff problem. So that's, I guess, a nice segue to our topic for today. So what we're going to be talking about today is how to avoid getting gas. And I know you probably looked at that and you're like, I'm sorry, what? But yes, gas, gear acquisition syndrome. And basically, that's a catchy, sort of funny term for basically lusting after the newest, the shiniest, the latest and greatest equipment, and always just being so into gear and the filmmaking equipment that you kind of lose touch with the art of it. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why lusting after all this gear is a bad thing. It may seem kind of obvious, but I'll go through it anyway for you guys because it can really get you all wrapped up. So like I said, gear acquisition syndrome is that wanting and that desire to have the latest and greatest. And the problem with that, with getting hooked on filmmaking equipment, is that you are never going to be able to keep up. You know, stuff is being upgraded and updated and you know, your old stuff becomes obsolete and all that stuff so quickly in this industry that if you're fixated on having the latest and greatest, you're going to have some big problems both financially and creatively, and I'm going to talk to you about those today. So we've got some comments coming in. That's awesome. They have gas in the music industry too, says Steve Holt. You know what? I think this applies not only to filmmaking. I mean, obviously we're talking about it in the context of filmmaking today, but this is something that can apply to you just in life. I mean, apply it to anything. If you're always looking to where the grass is greener, you're never going to appreciate where you are. And especially in terms of purchasing equipment and stuff like that, man, oh man, it's going to cost you a lot of money when you probably don't need to be doing that. So I did post a little post on the Aputure Instagram story today to sort of advertise this, and I thought it was kind of funny. If you guys didn't see it, make sure to go check that out. And you can find me on Instagram too, at Bart Johnson Productions. Shameless plug, sorry. But I showed off this room that I'm in is my home studio and office, and I have a wall. I mean, literally a giant wall of equipment over here. And sometimes I look at it and I'm just like, oh dear God. It's a lot, but I'll get into that too. So we're talking about, you know, all this new gear, all this new equipment, and always wanting to have more or wanting to have better than what you already have. And that can get you into trouble. And we're getting into that time of year now where that salivation over new gear is about to start. We've got CES starting up. What is it, like in a few days? And you know there's going to be stuff announced that everyone is going to be wanting and all that kind of stuff. So you got to be careful. You know, with all of this wanting for equipment and desire to have the newest stuff, I laugh because I love/hate the fact that B&H on their website allows me to make wish lists, because, man, those things are dangerous. You know, I just fill it with all this stuff that I want, and it's probably not stuff that I actually need. So the problem with gear acquisition syndrome, like I said, obviously you're going to end up spending a whole lot of money to try and keep up to date with the camera gear and sound gear and lighting gear, but it's also going to distract you from actually being creative. So I'm sure you guys have all heard before, the best camera is the one that you have with you, or just extended to the one that you own. So what you really need to do is you need to look at this new equipment and see if it's actually right for you. Like, just because your camera that you own is no longer the top of the line model, does that mean that camera all of a sudden stops working? No. Does that mean the quality of your camera gets any worse? No. Your camera or your equipment that you have is just as good as it always has been, but now you suddenly view it like it's not worth as much. It's not the best because there's something else out there. But the important thing is that you have what you need, you know, your tools that you have purchased and that you have, whether it be an entire wall of equipment like I have, or maybe you're just starting out with, you know, your first little camera, that is enough to get you going, to get you shooting, to get you creating. And you're always going to say, oh, but if I had that piece of equipment, I could do this project. You know what? Do the project. Do it with what you got and keep yourself going. And then down the line, if it makes sense to pick up something new, then yeah, go for it, because obviously, you know, you do want to make some progress at some point. But I'm going to talk to you guys in a little bit about some strategies for deciding when new equipment is actually something that you should be investing in. But the key thing is, you know, unless you're like a rental house or running a company or a studio where you really do need the latest and greatest and you need a lot of it, you know, you really can get into trouble really fast getting hung up on all the newest gear and all that stuff. And now I want to give an example. You know, this rumor of a GH5S from Panasonic. This is a camera that doesn't even actually exist yet. You know, it might within the next few days. But even just the rumor of this has people so wound up and so fixated on it that people are, you know, they're already downplaying their GH5s that they own and all that stuff. And that's not the way that you should be. Basically, what all of this stuff is they are tools, okay? And they are tools to get the visions that you have in here out so that the world can see them. And so you can't be sitting there thinking that the gear makes you who you are and makes you creative. No, that's not true. The gear gives you the ability to express yourself creatively, and that's what you really need to be focusing on. And that is hard to do. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. I love the latest and greatest, and I try and stay on the cutting edge. But for me personally, what happens a lot is I do client work and I do run my own company, Bart Johnson Productions, and so I have invested over the years in a lot of equipment that I use for my job, but still I do go through the process that I'm going to share with you guys of sort of justifying and deciding when it's time to purchase equipment. So let's take a quick break and I'm going to take a peek at some of our comments in here. Let's see what we've got here. Keen Wrench says, "Hi Bart, I need to hear this." Good, good. I think a lot of people need to hear this, and I think it's even going to be a good refresher for myself, even to just talk about it, because I do catch myself slipping sometimes. And I'm like, well, yeah, I should pick that up. I should have that. No, so. But we'll get into that. Ron, hey buddy, how you doing? What about cameras where you can have add-ons and updates, but the chassis remains the same? Any recommendations there? So, that's a good question. So I guess with like modular cameras and stuff like that, there aren't a ton of them out there. Red is probably the most common one that's sort of modular, where you can upgrade it and all that kind of stuff. And then for that, again, you're going to have to justify those upgrades. It's with purchasing anything, whether it be a new whole physical thing or upgrades to something. You need to be able to go through a process to sit there and logically and reasonably look at it and see if you can justify it. And I will get into that there. And let's see. So Moses was asking Ron if there's a specific camera you had in mind. Yeah, please let us know, Ron, because the one that I would think of most for upgradability without changing the body is Reds. So let's see here. Yeah, Red was the one he was thinking of. Yeah, Joe Adams, great advice. We need to stop making excuses and start making content. Yeah, because that's what we do. Like I said, I doubt all of us have the aspirations to be just rental houses and just have a stockpile of equipment and never use it. You need to be creating, and you need to find the right tools for you to create, and you need to find the right time in your sort of career path and growth to acquire those tools. Like I said, your credit cards are going to thank you. Well, the companies probably won't, because they want you to spend it, but you will be thanking yourself for your not high credit card bills. And also you get a lot more creative. I feel like you have a lot more creative freedom when you're not bogged down with a ton of equipment and gear. It's sometimes all the newest, latest and greatest things can be a detriment. If you spend 2 hours rigging up a gimbal system and a wireless follow focus and all this kind of stuff, because it's the new shiny that you got, when all it really required was just a quick handheld shot, then gear's getting in the way. So let's see here. Joel is here. I live in the Caribbean. So purchasing the latest and greatest is difficult because the price is far more than what you guys would pay due to the exchange rate. Wow. Yeah, well, you know what? You're kind of lucky then, because you are almost forced to scrutinize more over what you're purchasing and what equipment actually makes sense for you, and what is reasonable. So you've been sort of forced into that, but maybe it's not such a bad thing. It is a bad thing when you finally do make the purchase and it costs exponentially more, but you're going to be thinking about it. Travis, without the constant pursuit of gear, I'll have to talk to my wife and child again. That's on you, Bart. Yeah, sorry, you will. Well, actually, maybe not, you, without lusting after the gear and spending all your time acquiring equipment, you can go out and shoot more. Now, I'm not telling you to, completely abandon your wife and child, maybe bring them with you and shoot and all that kind of stuff, but, who knows. All right, so what we're going through here. Okay, so I got through most of our comments that we've got in here. So like I said, guys, if you are joining live and you have any questions or comments for me, feel free to pop them up, and obviously I can see them and respond to you guys. So where were we? Okay, gear is bad, but we all want it, and all that. Okay, so we're up to speed here. So like I said, I want you to focus more on creating, and I want you to focus on the equipment that you do have, as opposed to sort of lusting after this new stuff that's coming out. Like I said, it's going to be a very tempting time for us. We've got CES coming up, and then NAB just a few months later. So it's, wallets beware. It gets to be a dangerous time. But I think you guys can do it. I think you can make it through. But there is something to be said. Obviously, when new equipment comes out, it isn't just a play by companies to try and get you to spend more money and nothing's really different, unless maybe you're Canon. Ooh, I'm gonna hear it for that shot, aren't I? Sorry, Scott Heath, I didn't mean it. But for the most part, when new equipment does come out, it does come with expanded capabilities. Whether it be a camera moving from 1080p into the 4K realm, that gives you some advancements. There's all sorts of, lighting stuff. Aperture makes amazing lighting. I'm using all their stuff right now. I'm not getting any bonus to plug them and all that stuff. But when new lighting does come out, it comes with, higher quality. Some of the things have different functionality. And so there are improvements. And so there are reasons to get your hands on newer and higher end equipment. When it's right for your project, you need to be able to justify that upgrade as being something that, this is actually necessary for what I do. I need this. It's not, I want this, or I need, like a little kid saying, oh, I need it. No, like, you need this. This is something that is going to improve what you can do because you don't have the capabilities currently. And so we'll get into that. But something that I do want to say is, if you do have a project where the equipment that you have just absolutely won't cut it, and what is necessary for it is more expensive gear, there is always rental. So you, for particular projects, can go ahead and rent newest camera, newest lighting, all that kind of stuff. And it's going to save you a ton of money because it's not necessarily something that you need to have in your inventory. You can get your project done and then return the stuff. Rental is a fantastic option. Look at big movie studios and stuff like that are shooting on, these lenses that are like $200,000. You think every studio just owns a set? No, even the studios know that's not really a good investment. They rent these things out. And so rental is always an option, and it's a good option if you think it's something where you're only going to need its capabilities just for a particular project. Now, if it's something that you're going to need its capabilities on projects basically from here on out into the future, then that's where you can start thinking about making the investment and actually stepping up to that new gear. So I've been teasing a bit here and have been saying that I'm going to show you a little bit of a process, or talk to you about the process. So let's get into that. Okay, so something new comes out. You've got your eyes on it. You're sitting there. You've got it in your B&H, shopping cart, and you're ready to click that proceed to checkout. There's a few things that you need to stop and actively say to yourself and ask yourself before you go ahead and do that. And this is how I go about doing it. So it may be a different process for you guys, but I think as a rule of thumb, this is a good way. So is it something that adds functionality that you need? That's what I was just talking about. Is there literally a capability of, let's say it's a new camera, is there literally a function or capability of that camera that you need and that your current camera does not do? So if, say you absolutely need to be doing 4K and your camera doesn't do 4K, it only does 1080, then that is adding functionality, that is adding something that you need, and then that might be a good investment. So you're stepping up, you're improving. The gear is improving your capabilities on a technical side, not a creative side necessarily, to do that. So that's something you want to consider. It has to add some value to you. Value other than being, look, I've got the brand new thing. That's not the value I'm talking about. Not the satisfaction and the bragging rights. So think about that. Think about it really, really rationally, and sit there and think: does this add value? Does it add a functionality that I need and I'm going to need going forward? So that's one thing to look at. Another thing is, can this purchase be justified? So there are lots of different ways that you can justify it. Especially if you're spending a large chunk of money, you want to make sure that it's justified. But for me, since I run a business, one of my best and easiest ways for me to look at justifying something is this something that clients are starting to ask me for? So 4K, again, as an example. You may want a 4K camera so badly because it's just the thing now, but are your clients perfectly happy with 1080p? Do they know the difference? Do they care? Would you just be shooting in 4K and they have no idea what you're talking about and all that? If you have clients asking for something in particular and it's starting to become a common thing and you're not able to do it, then investing in the capability to do that is worth it. So you got to think about that. Is this something that is justifiable? Is this something that I need right now? Is this adding something that I can't currently do? All right. So one thing that I want to share with you is an example of something that I did not purchase because I went through these steps and realized it didn't make any sense for me. So I was talking about B&H wish lists and how they're both great and dangerous at the same time. But I had one in there that was full of all sound equipment. Mixer, boom mic, boom stand or boom arm. Obviously, I'm not a sound guy. And all that stuff. It was thousands of dollars worth of stuff that I was looking and investing in. And then it occurred to me. I was sitting there and I was like, wait a minute. Why would I purchase this? Because anytime I'm doing a big enough project to require sound equipment of that caliber, I'm hiring a sound guy who comes with his own equipment of that caliber. I'm never out there with a field mixer on anything. I'm never out there with a boom pole on anything. I'm behind the camera. And so I was sitting there and I was like, this doesn't make any sense for me or my company to purchase all of this stuff because it's not going to get used. Yeah, I'll have it and it'll be here, but why? That's thousands of dollars worth of investment. And so I ended up removing it all and deleted the list because it did not fill a niche or a role that I needed. I don't need sound equipment. I do need sound on bigger projects, but there are other ways for me to go about it, hence hiring a sound guy who comes with that kind of equipment. And so that's just an example of where I was able to ward myself off from the latest and greatest and just wanting to have all of the gear in the world. I want to have all of it, and made a smart decision. I probably have made plenty of, not smart decisions along the way. I did some reorganizing here in my office, over the past week and found a lot of stuff that I haven't touched in a long time. And I'm like, wow, I spent money on this because I was like, I want it. And it got used maybe once. And now I'm thinking about selling stuff off. It's difficult. It is difficult to do this and hold yourself back because you just want to get everything. And it's hard. One thing that I did in the past, I don't do as much anymore, but I would purchase equipment based on the needs of a particular job. So what do I mean by that? When I first got started with my company 4+ years ago, something like that, I went down to South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, and I was going to just pop around and find musicians and artists and stuff to shoot video for. Well, I ended up linking up with this company down there called DJBooth.net. And they wanted to hire a videographer to shoot a bunch of stuff, and they wanted to do man on the street style interviews. They asked me if I had a stick mic, for interviews, a wireless one, and I told them yes, but I did not have this. But what I did was I billed for that job just enough to purchase that microphone. So they gave me a deposit, and I went ahead and had the microphone overnighted to me down in Austin, got it, showed up, nobody was any the wiser, and did it. Now, I'm not saying to go and do that. I'm not saying to go out and accept jobs that you're not capable of in planning to purchase the gear with the deposit money. Don't do that. This was when I was first starting out, and that was a risky move. But if you do have projects, large or small, that their budget can cover picking up a piece of equipment that is necessary for it, not something that makes you all starry-eyed and you just really want it. If it's something that is justifiable for that project, then you can go for it. So yeah, don't do it the way I did it years and years ago, but the concept is kind of okay, sort of. So let's take a look here. What do we got? Concept shooting gear. There you go. Alexander Clark. I would rather spend my money on quality lighting, not a new camera body every year. Yeah, and see, lighting is a fantastic investment because you can justify lighting equipment. It's going to last you a very long time, especially with new LED technology. It can improve the quality of your work, but don't go overboard on it. When you get a set of lights, when the new model or new version comes out, don't get all wrapped up in it. It is good to invest in. And cameras, that's like something that I was saying when we first started the stream. You will never be able to keep up with the brand new camera every time. I mean, it's just going to cost you so much. You would be pursuing, like, imagine if you were on the Sony track. What were they coming out with a new A7 series like every 5 months? Like, it's ridiculous. So I saw some stuttering on here, guys. That might just be my OBS, but let me know if we had any issues in there. But yeah, cameras and a lot of other types of equipment change so quickly. You will run out of money and you will run out of sanity if all you're doing is trying to make sure that you have the latest model. It's just ridiculous. I mean, it's good because, sometimes they really do advance the technology, which is something that we want. New stuff and competition between companies is good because it advances technology and the capabilities. But yeah, don't try and ride that wave. It'll get you. Hey, Aaron Rosine, good to see you, buddy. How you been? Let's see here. Bart, your beard kind of looks like Sam Gorski from Corridor Digital. Thank you. Yeah, I love guys over at Corridor Digital. I've never met Sam. I've met a few of the other guys, actually at the Aperture booth at NAB last year. That was pretty cool. But yeah, this was my my No Shave November beard that my wife then gave me the thumbs up to keep, and so it's been going strong. So this is my look now. We'll see how long she lets me grow it. I told her I was going for out here, but I don't think she's okay with that. So. Ron says, I believe we all want the biggest bang for our buck. Cameras, I feel there is a ton of info, but what about sound? Any advice? Or lenses? You pay for what you get, but all primes are pretty much equal in the eyes of the layperson. Okay. So talking about specific investments. So sound, I can't help you on that one. So I'm not a sound guy. I don't know how to judge audio equipment. I don't know what's good and what's not. I could tell you that the $400 microphone is probably better than the $200 microphone, but in some cases that might not even be true. And so that's one of the reasons why sound is not something that I needed to have in-house. And so I left that completely out of my roadmap for purchasing and investing equipment. So for sound, I don't know. I think if you were in a position to be investing heavily in sound equipment, you're probably someone who has a little bit of skill in the audio department. And so maybe you would know better than me, what everything means, but if you're just trying to get some other stuff, maybe seek the advice of someone who is familiar with sound equipment or something like that. As for lenses, are all primes pretty much equal in the eyes of the layperson? So there is a ton of debate and tests and all that stuff. Do you want super sharpness? Do you want this? Do you want that? So lenses, deciding lenses could be an entirely an entirely separate live stream all its own. I could really go into it. But, it all comes down to what's going to work for you. I have never had a client sit there and look and be like, oh, that lens you used wasn't very good, or, oh, why didn't you use this lens? Now, this is just for client work, but, for the most part, I don't see a lot of people being picky about the lenses. It's us as cinematographers who are like, ooh, I want that big, $20,000 Canon Cinema lens kit, which I do want, but I will probably never own because it makes more sense to rent. So I'm sorry I can't be more specific for you on that one, Ron. Let's see here. Aaron, I recently had to purchase a collapsible chroma key background because one of the things you do is VFX. Yep. I realized I needed to shoot something VFX-wise for a client's film and didn't have it. It was relatively inexpensive. That's a perfect example. So that purchase gave you the capability to do something that you weren't able to do before, and you had a client where it was necessary to do that. That ticks all the boxes. I give you a thumbs up on that. That sounds like a good purchase. So very, very good there. Let's see here. Joel is in here. Man, I can totally relate. Buy stuff, use it once, and then sometime later stumble upon it and then selling it. Trying to be smarter when purchasing gear to avoid going through that again. Anything I buy must be practical and something I truly need. Yeah. Like I was saying, I know a lot of people probably still have that same problem. Go through your equipment closet or room or wherever you store your gear, and I bet you'll find stuff that you used once or twice and is now just collecting dust. The goal is to try and avoid doing that. It'll save you a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of headache. And yeah, you said it right there. Practical and something that you truly need. And you have to make sure that it is a need, not a need, like looking, salivating, lusting after it like a little kid. If it brings value to what you are doing, then that's a good buy. Let's see here. Chadwin Smith, Funko Pop, that's all I see. Yeah, I have just a few here. There's more over here actually too, and there's some at my my office as well. So yeah, I have in front of me here, I actually have all of the Avengers. I have the Guardians of the Galaxy over here. You can't see them. And then just straight up awesome characters and stuff over here. This is pretty much my sci-fi and aliens shelf here, and Deckard from Blade Runner 2049, Alien Predator. Yeah, you can pretty much tell that I'm a giant nerd. But hey, I like it, so. Jesus says, I just bought a 120D from Aputure. Awesome. Congratulations. And let's see here. Adam says, I didn't notice any stuttering. Good. That was probably just on my playback here. So we're all good there. Okay, so yeah, Jesus, you bought the 120D from Aputure. That's awesome. That is a fantastic light. And I'm assuming that it was a purchase that fulfills a specific need that you have, and that you have plans for how you're going to use that creatively. And so that's awesome. So there we go. Where did I put my... Oh, I left it down here on the ground. All that talking, my mouth's getting dry, Chadwin says, that's crazy. So many. I love it. Keeps the office fun. Yeah, I have quite a few. It's actually difficult to fit them all in here. It's crazy. I used to have just a few, and I kind of went on a shopping spree, which I guess is what this whole stream is about not doing. But I purchased a whole bunch of them from Amazon and laid them all out. And the first time that my wife walked back into my office to come in here and tell me something, she just like bugged out. She's like, "Oh, your collection grew a little bit." I was like, "Yeah, sorry, honey, didn't tell you about that. My bad." But yeah, so there you go, guys. That is what GAS is: Gear Acquisition Syndrome. It's, something that we all do get from time to time. It's hard not to. This is the profession and the world that we live in and work in. And so when new tools and toys come out, and we just want to get our hands on them. We want to use them. We want to have them. It's it's human nature. But you got to try and resist it a little bit, and you got to sit back and you got to, think about it practically and say, is this bringing any real value or improvement to what I'm doing? Does it add any capabilities that I don't currently have? That's a big one, especially if you're starting out. I'm sorry, I've kind of been referring to this as, under the assumption that you have already, a ton of equipment that you need. But, you could be somebody out there who right now is just getting started and just has a camera. And so, yeah, it is justifiable for you to do some shopping and pick some stuff up that you need, some lights, maybe a simple microphone or whatever you're doing. And so that makes sense because each of those adds value and adds capability to what you can do. And I know you'll do your research and figure out, what's going to be the best for you, for your budget and all that kind of stuff. But the problem comes in after that, when you already have what you need, but then newer versions of what you have comes out. And that's where you start looking at your existing stuff as if it's no good anymore, even though we all know that, if a new light comes out, your existing lights don't all of a sudden suck. They're just as good as they always have been. It's a mental thing, and it's the way that you perceive them as being not quite good enough because they're not the best that exist. And you need to try and steer clear of that because if you've had a set of lights for 5 years you've been able to do every single project with them, and they do everything you need, guess what? Those are good lights. So, it can be hard. You can be tempted very, very easily. Those marketing people from all the different companies, they have a job for a reason, and they do it pretty well. The job is to make you want what they're making, and they do a good job of it. So, sorry to you guys at Aputure. I know I was talking with Naris about this and how funny it is that I'm talking about, not buying stuff on the page of a company that makes stuff. But, it is what it is. And if, Aputure does have products that will improve your creative capabilities and stuff, then, by all means. Or if you're already stocked up, then don't go for it. So, that's what it is. Let's see what we've got here. Wife got me the Aputure H198C for Christmas. Awesome. Yeah, getting stuff as gifts, that's always a win. And that's awesome that, an LED light and stuff for Christmas. That's a good one. Aputure is posting in there to follow me. Yes, please do. So I am on social media pretty much across the board as Bart Johnson Productions. So you can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, you can find me here on Facebook, and my primary outlet is YouTube. I do a lot of reviews and stuff on YouTube, and I also do a weekly live show over there. While this one is monthly, I do a weekly one over there. It's Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, so we will be having one tomorrow. So if you want more of me and you want to be able to hang out with me live on a weekly basis instead of just monthly over here, then make sure to find Bart Johnson Productions on YouTube and subscribe to me over there. I would really appreciate it. That'd be awesome. So let's see here. So we're getting into some gear questions. See, that I knew that because the most common questions that I always get are, what camera should I get, or what should I buy, or which is better? And I was like, how am I going to field those questions in a stream about not buying stuff? But you know what? It is what it is. So I'm going to go through and answer a few for you guys here. Let's see what we got. What brand of V-mount batteries do you prefer to use with the 120-300D or camera? So for batteries, V-mounts, I use Switronix batteries, which are actually, they rebranded, so now they're Core SWX. Let me get one off the charger for you. Oh, and this will be a perfect example. Okay, so this is them, Core SWX, great batteries, I love them. And this is one of the most recent ones that I purchased. And let me tell you how I justified this purchase. Hang on a second. So I already had a few of these. These are their old 98 watt hour batteries, right? So this one, as you can see, is also a 98 watt hour. So why did I decide to spend the money on another one when I already had batteries? Well, the reason is, if you look, this one is a thin. It's a slim version. And what this is going to allow me to do is pop this on my Ursa Mini and run it on my Ronin. I've wanted these for a really long time. Again, they were in my B&H wish list, but I never pulled the trigger on them because I really don't put the Ursa Mini on the Ronin that often. But I do have a project coming up that is going to be all on the Ursa Mini, and we're going to be using the Ronin a lot. And so that became, the reasonable justification to go ahead and pick up a slim battery. I wanted it, but I held off. I didn't invest in it until the time came where this is going to be essential for me to get the job done on that project. But brand, yeah, Squitronics, now called Core SWX. I love their batteries. And yeah, I have used them on the 120D, and I have used actually their big batteries on the 300D, and they did work. I actually have a video about that over on my YouTube channel. It's called Powering the Beast, talking about powering the 300D. So make sure to go over to my YouTube channel and check that out, and you'll get some more info about powering the 300D, because it needs a lot of juice. Whatever, we'll just put these over here for now. Okay, we're going to hang out for a little bit longer here, guys. We've been going for about just under 45 minutes, so that's pretty good. But yeah, if you guys got any other questions, I'm going to keep going through here and answering. Let's see here. The Aputure 300D Mark II. Yeah, see? Those Mark IIs and Mark IIIs and all that stuff. Now, I know there is no 300D Mark II yet, but Mark II and Mark III and different iterations of it, man, do they get us salivating and wanting it, like wanting the new ones. It's just, I still have a 5D Mark III, and I haven't upgraded it to a Mark IV or anything like that because there's no value in that for me. The 5D Mark III performs just great for me for the stuff that I use it for, and now I was thinking about retiring it, but instead I'm starting to get into motion controlled time lapses, and that thing still does amazing stills with that full frame lens or full frame sensor in there. So I might repurpose it to become my my time lapse camera. So yeah, just no need for me to spend more money. Let's see here. Aputure says it's exactly why we make products that last. See, that is a good mentality from a company. Making something where you purchase it once and it's going to last you a long time, so you don't have to keep spending money and because stuff is breaking and all that. So I personally appreciate that, Aputure. That's awesome, and I'm sure anybody else who has any of your products appreciates it as well. Like I said, guys, even though I'm here on the Aputure page, I don't have to say nice things about them. I get to say what I want, but the truth is, I like them and I like their stuff, so they're safe on that. They do a great job. Let's see here. Chadwin says, great info. Thank you. Well, thank you for joining and hanging out, man. I'm glad I could help. If you need anything else from me at any point in the future, like I said, all those social media sites, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, if you connect with me on there, man, I love being interactive and helping people out and answering questions and doing whatever. So feel free to find me. Like I've said on my other channel before, it's like I'm not hiding. I want to talk with you guys. That's why I love live. Otherwise it'd just be a guy in a small room with a camera pointed at him making videos. That's boring. All right. Let's see here. Let's GH5S, they will get us again. Yeah, I was talking about that, and how it's not even officially a real thing yet. And yet the amount of people who are just clamoring over it drives me, I cannot believe it. Like, guys, it doesn't even actually exist yet. Now, it may come out at CES here, on Monday. I think they're rumored to announce it, and it may have all those exact specs, that have been leaked by, 4/3 rumors and all that stuff. Yeah, that's fine. but I just don't understand spending so much time and effort lusting after something that isn't even announced yet. So I don't know. I don't get it. Let's see here. Steve Holt, I was thinking of renting V-mounts for location shoots for my Aputure lights. That's a fantastic idea. So if you are not constantly using your lights in a situation where you don't have access to, wall power, if you are consistently going it, then it would probably make sense for you to purchase batteries. But if most of your stuff is done, where you do have access to wall power, I think I did that right, then, you probably don't need to invest in V-mount batteries because, you're not going to get a ton of use out of them unless you're using them for cameras and other stuff. If you have a lot of stuff that requires them, then maybe it makes sense. But yeah, renting in that situation for that particular shoot and project is a great idea. Because they can cost a lot of money, and yeah, you'd be like, oh yeah, I now have V-mount batteries, that's awesome. But if 90% of the time they just sit and don't get used, that's not a really good investment there. So you got to be careful. Chapman says, already subbed to your channel. Awesome, thank you very much. That is fantastic. I really appreciate that. And let's see here, we're getting down towards the end. What about Sony Alpha A7R? Does that say 2 or 3? I can't. 3. Now I have Mark IV and Mark III, but need one more camera. So what do you guys think I should purchase Sony? So I can't help you with that. I have never ever used the Sony cameras, the A7 series. Well, that's not true. I did one little shoot on the A7S2, but it wasn't very much. So considering I don't have a lot of hands-on experience with them, I don't want to recommend a camera just blindly based off of, a fact sheet. So I don't know. Maybe other people can give you some input there, but just to play it safe, I'm not going to recommend something that I haven't physically had my hands on and used quite a bit. So maybe maybe go ahead and rent that Sony if you can, and see how it works, with your other cameras, and also see how it works just for you. Because sometimes with cameras, you can look at all the spec sheets and it's fantastic, but then when you get your hands on it, maybe it's not ergonomic, or it's harder to get to the functions that you need the most access to quickly. Maybe you got to go deep in through some menus while another camera might have an assignable button for it or something like that. So there's so much more beyond just those fact sheets and data sheets that you need to take into consideration. And it's really just, the use of it. What is it like to use on a daily basis, and that's something that unfortunately you can't really experience unless you rent it. So there you go. All right, guys, looks like our comments, I have made it through them all. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry about that, but I do appreciate all you guys hanging out with me and asking questions and interacting live. All right, let's see. Yeah, okay. So but yeah, I really appreciate you guys coming and hanging out here. I appreciate Aputure allowing me to take over the channel and do this live stream. Hopefully you guys get some some benefit out of these, and I really do enjoy doing them for you. So the plan is for me to be back again, same time, same place, first Friday of next month. So that will be February. Ooh, my birthday month. What is the first Friday of February? February 2nd, it looks like, is what we're going to aim for. So Friday, February 2nd at 3 p.m. Eastern time, I should be back here, assuming I don't have any projects come up that conflict with it. But as of right now, I'm looking okay. But yeah, I appreciate you joining me, guys. If you do, like I said, want more of me for some reason, come find me over on YouTube. I have tons of pre-recorded videos, reviews, tips, tricks, and all that kind of stuff. And I do live shows every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, so we will be having a live show over there tomorrow. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys avoid getting gas. I hope you make it through all of the CES announcements that I'm sure are going to be blowing up all of our feeds next week. Hope you're able to resist and make good decisions when purchasing stuff. And more than anything, just hope you stay creative and go out there and make some stuff that you're proud of and that you like. All right, guys, take care of yourselves. I will see you later.